good night and welcome to Just a Conversation. In the midst tonight, we have none other than Minister Amon, Brother Matthew, I'm Minister Hayden, and we have a wonderful guest with us tonight, which is none other than Sister Ruth Ann Nelson. Don't forget to hop on over to our YouTube page. It's Just a Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, when coming in, don't forget to share this program out. Man, it's been a blessed week.
Trust.
Come on.
It's crazy though, but if you truly love the podcast, please share and like and comment.
That's right.
Yeah, because
share, like, comment, the whole world.
Because we blessed out here, and it's like you will be blessed if you share our blessing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of us is blessed, so we can share the blessings, not
Exactly.
to hold on to it. Right, Minister Amon?
Yeah, right.
So it's blessed out here.
It's blessed
real
out
out here. He just said it's crazy. So
that too.
All three of them, yeah.
Listen.
What's the crazy part? COVID?
Crazy. What? COVID? Nah, that ain't crazy.
That ain't crazy.
That's normal
It's
now.
starting to become normal, right?
Listen, that's a part of life. It's like there's no get around that. It's like the crazy part is the people.
Right.
Florida people different.
We been knew that. That ain't nothing new.
It ain't new, but it's like.
I mean, you from Florida. You different.
No, I'm extra different because I'm Jamaican. So it's
so that's what makes us different. You know, I saw a skit, right, some guys did, and they're like, hurricane season. You know, we're actually in hurricane season.
Exactly.
And they were like, the hurricane called up like North Carolina and like South Carolina, like, yo, I'm coming. And they're like, oh, we're nervous, we're scared.
Yeah.
And then he was like, hold on. I forgot to call Florida. So he called Florida, like, Florida, what up? He goes, what's up? Who this is? He goes, it's hurricane season. I'm coming for you. Florida's like, man, come on through, bro. Hurricane parties be the best.
Exactly. It's like, especially in Hollandale. It's Hollandale. Hialeah. Yeah.
I don't go to that part of town. If you don't know Espanol down there, stay away out. I got lost back there a while back. And
easy.
Everywhere I went, it was like, bro, we want to speak Spanish. Until I found this one gas station that said, we hablo English. And that's how I got good directions. Back then, I wasn't good at directions in Florida. You know, northeast, southwest, whatever. Yeah, I wasn't good at that.
I use landmarks.
826 and all got lost.
I use landmarks, but it's like Miami is a maze. So it's like,
Miami is a maze. But yeah, man, it's actually blessed out here, but it's also real. So, you know, do what we got to do to protect ourselves. Keep protecting yourselves. Keep staying safe. You know, don't let nobody draw you out, pull you out, do nothing you don't need to do. You know what I mean? I'm extra safe, man. Like, even at work, boy, I take it personal. Like, you come in my space, I get like, no. That's up. They say 6 foot.
Yeah.
That's what it means, 6 foot.
Anytime it's like I'm in the shop in my class, and it's like the teacher is kind of one of those who like get up in your face.
You went back to school?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because it's like my field is like.
Yeah, no, I would not be in nobody's classroom right now.
Well, I'm outside, so that's why.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, but I would not be in nobody's school.
Yeah.
I saw something this morning actually talking about the teachers actually filing a lawsuit not to start school in August 20-something down here. Saying Florida's not ready, so I stand behind y'all. My kids ain't going back to school. I'm sorry. They got computers at home. They can use them. No, bro, I don't trust it. I'm sorry.
Well, I do diesel, so that's why I gotta
drink a couple of that diesel gas. Boy, white out, flush it out.
Flush.
Yeah.
Well, it can do some work.
Do some breathing damage too.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's the topic?
Tonight's topic, it deals with can you be tempted after being baptized?
Can you be tempted after being baptized? Okay, I'm gonna pass it over to Minister Amon.
I mean, all the time. Yeah, being baptized does not exempt you from temptation, but I think temptation kind of tests us to see if we are really converted after being baptized. You know, and it's not per se that we're being tempted to fail. We're not being tempted to succumb to evil, but we might be a little bit, tempted to see if we are actually purified.
I understand that. In all honesty, paper-wise, like it's clear, but when you're going through it, it's like, yo,
you don't want to hear it.
It's like it's more. It feels more like, yo, do you really want me to fail? Because it's like everything around me is not going right. It's like.
It's nothing personal, bro.
It's nothing personal. I, as the more I walk with Christ, the more I understand that it's nothing personal. It's just to help build your faith. But every now and then, the further the walk is like, the illusion is that if it seems as if it's harder, but when you think back to it, it was still you still going through the same thing.
You know what temptation reminds me of? It's like, you know, if you see something and your eyes stay fixated on it, you know, let's go back to the beginning with Eve. You know, Eve saw the fruit. Even though she was told, listen, don't eat from that fruit. But her eyes were so her eyes were fixed on it, you know what I mean, that she missed everything else that was going on around her.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like a man. Once they see like a beautiful woman walk by, they start looking at it and their eyes get fixed on it. And once the eyes are fixed on it, now guess what? They're going to go after it. You know, and that's what temptation does. You know, the Bible itself even tells us that, you know, when Jesus was on his 40-day fast, guess what? The Holy Spirit led him up into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil.
Definitely.
You know, so we are going to go through temptation. Does being baptized make you any different or no? I don't know. It doesn't. You know, you have to go through that, you know, to actually develop your skill, you know, your spiritual man. Because your flesh man is tempted to go after that thing, but your spiritual man, once you start to develop your spiritual man, you understand that you start listening more to the Spirit. Say, no, leave that alone. No, don't touch that. No, don't look at that. You know, and that's the thing, you know, that we have to understand. Like, yeah, we're going to go through our tests. We're going to go through a lot of things. You know, think about even at school. You know, you do a trade, you do anything. Guess what? You always have a test at the end. You know, so being tempted is pretty much your test. It's not to throw you at the wolves or, you know, to bury you or make you look bad or nothing like that. It's just a test, you know, for us to go through and for us to walk through. You know, once you walk through it, and then, I mean, you know, we fail at some of our tests, but guess what? Our eyes start to open up where we start understanding, like, man, didn't I just fail like that? And then now you start to develop. Your spirit start to become keen. Or you see the test come back around, you start to say, you know what, I've seen this before. Let me do it this way now. So, I mean, temptations could be, you know, a lot of different things. Look at David. You know, David had everything.
Yeah.
You know, but then he saw a woman, and guess what?
Yeah.
He went after it. He pursued after her. You know, and even though he did all of that, guess what? David himself was still in the eyes of God, of his own art.
Well, I'm gonna give us like personal. It's like just like I got in this argument with someone, and it's like I already saw where this was going, and like I was able to get over it. Like it's like I see the obstacle, and I got over it perfectly fine. And then it's like because I know it's like I know my weakness. The person said something that triggered it, and it's like it caused me. You know how they said on that woman, Lot's wife, how she looked back, right? It's like it felt. That's how I felt right after, because it's like I didn't do anything further after, but it's like it caused me to look back, and I'm like, and I feel like that's how temptation is sometimes. It's like, yeah, you might overcome something that overcome this, but there's always that subtle thing that will try to bring you back into it.
Yeah, there is. I mean, even I think the message last Sunday that just passed was Job, and you know, like he was like a great man in the East. They said great man in the land of Uz, and you know he had so much going for him, like 7 sons, 3 daughters. He had 7,000 of oxen or sheep and 300. You know, he had great numbers in finances and everything. But, you know, there were still things that he had to get, I guess, proven in. And they were form of temptations. You know, to me, he was praying for his sons and daughters and giving sacrifices for them. And it said he would do it religiously, like, in case they forgot about it.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, you know, maybe one of the things he was lacking in was really teaching them how to cover themselves instead of trying to cover them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So I think
it's like instead of you keep praying for somebody, teach them how to pray.
Yeah. So if
when you get in trouble, you know how to get your way out of it.
If you know they might need that kind of help, you know, almost like give them that kind of help instead of giving them the food, teach them how to fish. And I think that was kind of like, you know, one of the things that you know, because he was so set on trying to crush them, he had to kind of learn like, hey, look, Job.
That's like that fatherly love. And you can think about it, Jesus, like God himself has that fatherly love for us. But it's the same thing with us. If he keeps, that's like if he had came down here in the beginning, he said, "Let there be," and there was. Let there be, and there was.
Yeah.
If he was like, "Let there be a chair," there was a chair. He'd be like, "Come on, Dad, I need this." Or
Yeah.
let there be this. No, so he had to give us that creative mentality where we go out there and do stuff our own.
You see?
And you're gonna fail at some things. You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna stump your toe when you're making
Yeah.
things or trying to make something work. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I
And
get
it's-
exactly what you're saying.
And it's not for evil.
Right.
It's to help us get to
Right.
a place that we are lacking.
But that's how you develop your even like your skills and stuff inside of us. That's how we
Yeah.
develop things inside of us too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ruthann, quick question: like, how do you deal with temptation and stuff like that as someone who's been baptized and filled with the Holy Ghost and so forth?
Well, sorry. Good night. First and foremost, going back onto temptation. Personally, it's always it's either you fail or you pass, really kind of thing. Yeah,
That's cutthroat, boy.
It's true. It's true.
And when you fail, now you got to start all over again. It's like a whole new test is gonna come, and the Lord just really wants you to prove yourself to Him. And that's what I've noticed. When you pass, it feels like the greatest thing ever, but you just know there's another test coming. You're like, oh God, why?
Yeah.
But it has to happen because you have to grow. It's like just a part of growing up, a part of getting older, getting wiser. You have to go through something to learn something. You might have some prior knowledge about something, but until you really go through it, do you really know?
Right.
Definitely.
Growing up, obviously in church for like all my life, I did notice like a lot of people though, when they do get baptized, they see it as a way to kind of feel better about themselves, make themselves feel like they washed away all the sins and things of the world. Technically, you're saying that you're giving up the things of this world to walk the life of Christ. But after that little refreshing, they just end up right back into sin. And it's like, but you just made this promise, but the temptation is just so sweet. It's just, sin is so sweet sometimes. It's just so hard to let go. But it's really just staying devoted, staying committed, knowing that you're doing this for a purpose, for a reason to make yourself more well established in the Lord's work. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well,
Question though, it's like that felt too PR, but it's like,
Wow.
like she thought it's like the whole time we talking, it's like, what should I say? I'm like, all right, and then it's like she going through it because it's like no sense of breath.
No,
It's like,
these are
come
thoughts that
on,
are coming to my mind as I speak.
breathe.
I
It's
just
like,
think before I speak.
oh, okay, I'm different.
Not to say that you don't, of course.
It's all good. It's all good, guys. It's good. You said something earlier about how.
Loving this panel tonight.
No, you said something earlier about how you have to start back from ground one. Why do you think that?
God, these questions. Essentially, what I feel is that, okay, they say that a man who has lived so long in God's work, right? And he commits that one sin right before he dies.
Go to
That
hell.
terrible awful sin. He's going to hell. He's lost all that hard work that he's built up is gone. And the one man who's lived his entire life of sin, who at the very end of his life decides to give his life to God, makes it to the gates of heaven. So I personally believe that you failing that test, it's like, it's not destroying your track record, but it's like putting you in a place where there's like a fault in you now that you got to overcome, that you got to work over or do better in. So I don't know how to best say it, but it's like
I agree. I agree with that because even like us as believers, and whenever you do something that like you always have a struggle with it. And the thing like when I talk to people, I try to let them know like, listen, it's a daily walk.
It is.
Yeah.
He says every day you get new mercies. So every day like listen, you might stumble yesterday, but don't let yesterday's mess you up for today. Get up today and start the day off fresh. Yeah. Because a lot of people mess up. I mean, and we have to understand like if you struggle with an anger issue or any issue, that beast is still inside of you, just waiting to poke his ugly face out. And then when it poke his ugly face out, you as a believer, you get so convicted where you're like, come on, man, like really, I just messed up. And you start to like walk around and ask yourself all these questions, and then, before you start having a conversation with God and you just start asking for forgiveness, and then guess what? Once you've been forgiven, just move on. And it is tough because sometimes we beat ourselves up, where we get that beating where we feel like, listen, man, now I got to start over from day one. I got to start over from scratch. It feels that way, but it's just moving on. It's just getting up and going again. You know, the Bible said, the man, you could fall, you know, but listen, don't stay down when you fall. You know, get back up and go again.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that kills a lot of people is that when they fall, and they fall around people that you think will be there for you, or you fall around people that's, you know, you think love you and care for you, you know, them the one that, you know, you try to get yourself back up, but then you start hearing these chatters in the background like, oh man, they said this about you, they said, and then that kind of like kills your morale more. You know, it kind of makes you just feel like, man, I just want to give up and throw my hands up and just move on. You know, but that's where you just have to fight that urge, you know, and fight that accusation, you know, that's being put in people's spirit, you know, and just move past that temptation, you know, move past it and just keep moving, you know, because a lot of us, you know, we're human being at the end of the day, and when you know you're trying to do good, you know you fall, and you're trying to pick yourself back up, you know, it's tough sometimes. You know, especially when you think people around you, you know, that you love and care about you, you know, is there pulling you up. And that's what we should do as believers, you know, as brothers and sisters. You know, you see your brother, your sister fall, you help pick them up, you know, not push them back down more, you know, into a rut. But unfortunately, that's how it be sometimes. You know,
I think one of the areas we get tempted a lot in that we don't understand is just the comfort level of how we feel.
that's true.
Like anytime you realize, like for instance, even if you were working a job for like 10 years and you were comfortable doing the in and outs of the job, you know, you get to a point where it's like you don't want to do anything else.
But that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even in another 20 years, you would be so content with just doing that job and staying right there in that job. I mean, just imagine us if we never had to get up off our butts and get a job. Imagine if we could just stay in front of the TV and just watch Netflix all day.
Right.
Would we ever get a job? Like if we just had the Netflix bill paid, the light
Everything
bill,
was
the AC paid.
Yeah. Would you really get up and
Would
do
we
anything?
really get up and get a job? So you would have like 10, 20, 30 years pass by when you haven't accomplished anything but watched everything on Netflix until there was a light switch that would just go off in your head and say, wait a minute, 20, 30 years passed by. I could have started my own my own business. I could have went and got a degree. I could have did something. When does that like light switch click on?
Sometimes some people late in life.
And that's what the temptation really is.
Because like I know personally, I know I'm going through something. I don't know if it's a temptation, but the situation I'm in right now, I feel comfortable, and it's like
That's not temptation, man.
no.
So you're just in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm not talking about home life. I'm talking about work life. It's like it's comfortable, but it's like I'm drawn more to do more stuff independently, but it's like I want to build a team around it. It's like. But I don't know how to. I'm not the greatest when it comes to communication. But it's like, when God said just, it's like it was talking. Was it Peter who stepped out on a boat?
Yeah.
Yeah. When he's like just come, and then he just stepped out, and it's like everything in my mind is just giving me reasons why I should just wait a little longer, and it's like. I'm like, all right, let me take care of this, so I'm more ready for. But it's like every now and then the voice get louder, like step out, just go for it, and it's like, but yeah, that too. I'm like, but I have no idea about how to do this, like, but
You think half the people that stepped out had any idea? They started to research. They started to put X and Y together, and then hoping it would work. You know, and I don't know what to tell you, bro.
it's like.
It's like we've been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like I've seen so many people like just move, and it's like, man, why you still hesitating? It's like God gave you the idea, so just do it.
So what's the reason for you not? Just the comfortability?
No, because I absolutely know nothing about how to do it.
Yeah, like I mean, but you ever heard like if someone asks you a question, I might not know the answer, but wait, I'm gonna find out.
Exactly.
You have to push yourself into a place where you might not know how you're gonna do it, but you got to invest in yourself enough.
But I'm sure he might have came across people that probably knows too, but he's probably afraid to ask too.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I mean?
that was
Since you're so hesitant in the
because
beginning.
in the beginning, yeah, it's like that. I felt like that was the biggest thing because I was going to school and I was surrounded by people who could have assisted, but I feared speaking on it. I'm not talking about the school I'm going now. It's like it's
Before.
yeah, before that school. Shall not be named. But I was going there and it's like I tried mentioning it to them and then they were interested, but I asked too late and it's like they weren't fully willing to invest the time into it. So I'm like, let me put this on the back burner for now and just get myself straight a little bit.
How many stuff you have on the back burner? I think you have a lot of stuff on the back.
I've written down a few, and it's like,
And what the Bible says?
yeah,
Write the vision and make it what?
clear.
Plain. And
Plain
then run with it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why.
You're writing the vision. Why you not running with
Do
it?
you think that's part of the temptation?
Yeah.
To not do it.
Yeah, just to be comfortable, man, and not like, man, you could have probably made a movie by now.
Could have been far by now.
You get what I'm saying? But every time you think about going forward and launching forward, you have a reason why you don't and you stay back. Isn't that part of the temptation? Isn't that like you would mention that story where you say there's a graveyard and there's a chain, and every time you pulling away from it, you still holding on to that chain.
You don't want to let go.
Yeah, how you ever gonna get loose from that grave?
And even like I find myself I do it like I want to say quite often. I go back to like the very first podcast and then look at where we're at now.
You have to.
And you just see the difference. You see the transition. You see where we started with a round table. You can see part the table. A black tablecloth to where we start getting logos. To we start getting lights.
Branding and everything.
Everything started to get clearer. The vocals started getting clearer. Everything started to become better. And I mean, you have to start. I mean, just like with this, you got all of us together. You got your team together. We started, and we grew on top of it.
Exactly.
And that's like anything in life. When you start with it, you're gonna grow on top of it. Like you could buy a 1-bedroom house. And before you quit, you have 5 rooms because guess what? You started from somewhere, and then you start adding on to it.
And it's a fight. It's an uncomfortableness.
It makes you uncomfortable. And people want to understand the stuff you go through to get to where you are. Even with this thing, people never understand like the sacrifice, it takes coming every Tuesday, the setup, the breakdown, the this, the that, the editing, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But they would understand. But when they see that the ending part of it, they're like, man, this looks so good. These guys are doing their thing. But sometimes you just have to start, bro. That's the start.
I mean, what you gotta understand sometimes is the investment that you place into yourself is the actual reward at the end. It's like I could come to this show every Tuesday and I could be like, well, if they paid me money, I'd be here early. I'd be here, doing twice as much as I'm doing now. But at the end of the day, I still see the reward. It might not be monetary payment, but I still see the reward. So that's why I press and I come. That's why I press and I put in, invest myself into the show. And I know you guys invest yourself into the show too.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. And it doesn't have to be any monetary, note or anything like that. I believe that God is blessing all of us with this show.
That's right.
Even someone out there that's even watching. So that's my reward, and that's why I keep pushing to come in. So it doesn't take me, a big push to get here, to find myself in this seat, to find myself, behind the scenes setting up, or to find myself trying to make the show better. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I keep on pressing, and that's why I don't want to get less than what I'm doing now. I don't want to go back.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't want this show to come from the small round table to without the logos. We don't want it to go backwards behind this. You see what I'm saying? So to keep it going forward, we have to put in more.
Exactly.
We have to put in more investment, more and more.
We got to keep pushing, and then you'll get better and better and better and better.
That's in your job. That's in your house. That's in your career. That's in your walk with Christ. That's in everything. Don't nobody need to be trying to pump you to come to church or to pump you to worship.
Yeah.
You should want to, out of just increasing week by week, verse by verse, scripture by scripture, prayer by prayer. I don't care if it's for 5 minutes. You want to increase a 5 minutes more than the last week. You want to press, man. If you say to yourself, you're not ready to make the rapture today, by the end of the week, you want to be closer than today than making the rapture.
It's true.
And if you never press to beyond or increase, then you might not make it. I'm just saying. If we have, we all have realistic goals and senses, like you say. Like if we write down the vision, we could sit there and write the vision and be like, well, I'm ready for the rapture right now, or I'm not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we can't just come to the fact where we not ready for the rapture because we got this kink in our armor, and we not trying to better that kink in our armor. We have to if we want to make it. So that's just something that we have to figure out in our minds. And if that light don't never, that switch don't never flip on, then I just pray that the Most High God reveals that to you to flip it on in you.
Yep.
We have to get that way.
And then that goes to show you right there, like it doesn't matter if you're baptized and filled with the Holy Spirit, people are still gonna remain where they're at. We you just have to understand as an individual that you have to press to what you want.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even have to do with temptation or nothing like that. People could be baptized and be filled with the Holy Spirit and stay the same.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't need no temptation. They don't need nothing. They just stay in that one position, and it becomes like a cycle. You get up every day, you do this, you do that. Okay, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm gonna do this. So you do that. Then I'm not comfortable with that. I'm gonna do this, and it just becomes a cycle. And somebody sang a song like that. I think Keenan danced to it. Cycles.
Yeah.
That's what the devil he keeps you going in cycles.
Cycles.
Yeah, and and he's the tempter.
Yeah.
So he keeps you going in cycles where you just can never get ahead. You can never put one foot the other and just keep moving forward. Who's to know, like, have the stuff that you have going on, have the stuff you have in your mind, your vision. If you started running with it, where would you be now? It's just like losing weight. If you start and you just see the pounds coming off, when you see somebody a year later and you're like, man, I remember when they started, I started with them. So, okay, what happened? How come they look like that and you look like this? So what happened? Well, they kept going and you gave up. Okay, you just went right back into tradition. You went right back into cycles. Like, boom, like, okay, I don't feel like going to the gym. And that's all it takes. I don't feel like doing this today. And then come the next week, I don't feel like doing it today. And that's it. You go right back into your regular thing.
And that's why I say temptation is comfort.
It is.
We get tempted by being comfortable. If the devil took Jesus on top of the mountain, the highest mountain, and say, I can give you everything that you see with your eyes, whether it be the woman, whether it be the cars, whether it be the houses,
fame, anything.
I give you anything because it's turned over into me on this earth. That's just to make you more comfortable. That wasn't to help him with his godly mission or his heavenly mission. That wasn't to help him go on the cross. He would have never been able to sacrifice daily. He would have never been able to go to the cross with a nice house, a nice car, all the women he wanted. It was just to make his flesh more comfortable. So whatever is going to make us more comfortable, even if it's sleep, we getting tempted by the devil, bro. We getting tempted not to do our mission, not to do our mission. Whatever it is that makes us feel more comfortable. If it's the house or the mansion, or it's the husband or the wife, or it's the children, whatever we getting tempted on to make our life more comfortable so that we won't sacrifice more and more for the man upstairs. That's our temptation, bro.
And that's why Jesus came, to make us uncomfortable.
That's it.
To get us out of that comfort zone. You think about it, like,
Take up the cross.
I was reading what's it? Mahomes signed some crazy deal the other day where he's getting paid like almost $500 million. Oh,
he's fast.
As a quarterback.
Yeah.
So think about, like, he just signed the dotted line, and once he signed the dotted line, he's already getting a bonus check for, like, say, $200 million.
He the man.
That man can say, you know what? Let me go sit down and live my life.
He could do what he wants.
But guess what? That's going to run out after a while.
Of course.
If you don't invest it, if you don't do something with it,
Yeah.
if you want to take some kind of steps or take some kind of, some kind of sacrifice and say, I'm going to put some money into this and see what happens. Guess what? After a while, you start living that lifestyle because when you think about somebody that have a $20 million home, their mortgage is like 40, 50 grand a month.
Yeah.
That ain't no cheap mortgage, bro.
Nah.
I was watching this show where like people renting these houses, and they rent these houses, and their mortgage is like 30 grand a month, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would I want to rent something that's 30 grand a month?
Why would I want to rent?
Well, a lot of folks in the lifestyle
Yeah.
in the limelight want to live certain places that there is no vacancy, so they have to rent until they could find somebody that's selling it. You know, so our life is just, we're renting this right now. You know, so we have to put our sacrifice, we have to put our work while working. You know, and the thing I love about God, man, he told us, listen, he said, Jesus said, I came to die so you can have life and have it more abundantly. You know, and a lot of us has misconstrued that scripture. He wants us to live our life. He wants us to do the things that he's asking us to do. But a lot of us just get comfortable into sadness, bro, and into depression. And we just think that's the norm.
Yeah.
You know, when he said, listen, I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. You know, we just get comfortable. You know, temptation, man, is just a thing that's just good for the eyes. It's good for the flesh. You know, but when you start hitting that spirit, man, you'll see the difference.
So, Ruthan, quick question though. It's like, how do you combat the cycle? In other words, we were mentioning earlier the cycle of temptation, where it's like,
How do you get out of it?
yeah, pretty much get out of it, because it's like,
How do you get out of it?
because usually, like for instance, with me, instead of doing certain things that are uncomfortable, I like, you know what, I could maybe do this another
You know, you
day
get
or
out of the comfort
something.
zone. It's the same reason why me and Minister Amon in church right now. You get in some serious situations, and your life flashes in front of your eyes, and you say, you know what? This is it. I'm done. I'm giving it up. I'm done with it. You know, until you tell yourself in the mind. I mean, I know I've prayed this prayer like probably Minister Amon has, where you get caught in some situation that's mine. You're like, man, God, you get me out of this. I won't be doing this no more.
Oh, yeah, many
and
times.
you get out that situation, and guess what? Right tomorrow, you're right back in it. You know what I mean? When you get in some situations where your behind can't get out of it, and you know ain't nothing but God himself showed up for you, then your eyes will open up real big, and you be like, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm done. But some of us, we just have that comfort.
I mean, I
We're
think
good.
that when that light, that conversion, when
that light switch,
when like for instance, Saul was on the way to Damascus and his lights just went out. You see what I'm saying? Everything that he had seen that was important to him, he couldn't see it anymore. It was done, detached. And then he was really seeing, even in that darkness, he was seeing the real light. He was like, wow, Jesus. He was like, you were actually speaking to me. He knew the difference. He knew the difference in what he thought was God and what he thought was, you know, his mission. And then when he heard Jesus really speaking to him, and Jesus was like, man, why you keep kicking against the ox goads? Why you keep bucking against what I'm telling you to do?
Right.
Why you keep thinking that you really doing God's work, and I'm telling you you're not doing God's work? And that's when he really had to see. You see what I'm saying? We get to a point a lot of times where we think what we doing or saying is righteous, and we ain't seen nothing yet. Until we just see everything that we're doing.
So would you say that we're just mimicking, like, am I saying that right?
No,
Because when you think about the story of Paul just saw like Christians being like getting their behind whooped. You know, he was there when he held the coat of Steph on them.
Yeah.
And he was there when he saw the believers being stoned and stuff like that. So that was his mentality. So I'm just saying, like, if you think us coming up, like, we're just like pretty much just saying what we're seeing, because that's what Paul believed. He just believed Christians weren't good people because he idolized these guys so much.
Yeah.
That he said, listen, okay, this is the right way.
Yeah.
And then he actually took himself to a level where he got hooked up. Because Paul was a smart man.
Yeah, he was.
And when you have marching papers to going down when he was going down the road to Damascus, he had papers. Like he got the papers from the courts, like what we say nowadays.
Yeah.
And he was on his way down to do some serious damage.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, you got to understand that he was getting rich off what he was doing too.
Right.
And a lot of people think that we can do God's work and capitalize off of it. Therefore, the line gets very blurry sometimes. Because at the same time, you know, like, what are we going to value more? Doing God's work or the money or the comfort? That's why it comes back to the comfort level. It comes back to the comfort level. Judas he held the bag. Judas was like, man, hey, we could sell some of that stuff that you anointed Jesus with, some of that perfume,
Yep.
and we could make some
The
money
holy
off of it and benefit the ministry with it.
Right.
Jesus was like, hold up, wait a minute. This is going to my burial.
Yeah.
This is like fragrance that is pure. There's no money or intention behind it, but this is like the best oil that she has saved. And she was going to do something important with it. And she realized that to anoint me for my day of burial is important. And that was the value that she put behind that. Judas was just gonna be like, we're gonna take that money and we're gonna benefit. We could probably get a hotel for a week, a hotel for a month with that money. We could get food for a week. We could buy 10,000 loaves of fish, bread and fish. It was a whole different process, a whole different intention. And if we lose ourselves and put the love of Christ, the love of this beautiful gospel down, and we pick up money or intentions behind it and be like, well, you know, we're supposed to be blessed in the city and blessed in the field. Yes, we are supposed to be blessed.
So we are blessed.
We are blessed. Yeah. But a lot of people equivalate monetary blessings and blessings of this world
And saying, now I'm blessed.
and equivalate it to being blessed in the spirit, which there is a balance. And you can be blessed monetarily and be blessed in the spirit at the same time. But what one do you value more? It can't be like,
right.
You see what I'm saying? Because once you get to that point where, you know, someone
sold out.
And someone can tempt you with the money
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, you know, you could be a gospel artist and we could put you on the spotlight and the message will be going out to thousands of people for your God, for your gospel. But we're going to need you to, you know, sign your name on the contract. And now you're dedicated to putting on shows in different places and you're dedicated to getting this amount of money and you have to go by the script. Now, what if the Spirit of God says, no, I need you to go somewhere else? Are you able to stop that, money? Are you able to say, you know, I have this big mortgage or this big car note that has to be fulfilled, and I'm going to do what the Spirit of the Lord says and not even worry about that note or that contractual obligation? That's what happens sometimes with us. So we get that slippery slope and we hit that gray area. And that's the temptation that we have to be aware of all the time. We have to be aware not to get tempted by the lust of the flesh and the things that are not spiritual. And we have to fulfill our spiritual obligation to God first and foremost, besides any other obligation that we think we have. And that's how a lot of people get caught. That temptation, that comfortable temptation. And we always say the cattle on 1,000 hills belongs to our, like, we know that he wants us to live abundantly. You see what I'm saying? But sometimes we fool that abundant living and we put that mammon or living in this realm abundantly over than living in the spirit abundantly. And there's a big difference. You could have everything like Will Smith, Jada. You could have the house, the mansion. You could have the perfect Hollywood relationship. But then when you really take a good look, it's not that perfect.
Yeah, the entanglements are crazy.
The entanglements. You see what I'm saying? So what got them entangled?
They disconnect.
What got them disconnected? The temptation, the comfort. That's what got them disconnected and entangled. You can't get entangled with God. There's no way.
That's true.
But you can get entangled in this world. Easy.
You could lose it all in this world too. Wow. I never looked at it like that.
That's crazy.
You have to. Yeah, you got to look at it.
You know, I was thinking about when you were talking to is like, so when you think about like somebody that's actually sold out, you know, I mean, I don't know the full story behind the guy that started the corporation, you know, Chick-fil-A, but I do know one thing: you ain't getting no chicken on Sundays.
Yeah,
From that place.
he stood on his
He
morals.
stood his ground, no matter
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
And you know, he's stuck with it and he stand by it. You know what I mean? And you know, he's still, the business is still operating today. You know, I've heard that he's very Christian. You know, like he's very religious. You know, so I mean, I went there a couple of times. You know, the atmosphere is very good. You know, the people in there are very like mannerable. You know, they speak with respect and stuff like that. You know, so once you start something and you start on the grounds that God has given you to start, that you don't get tempted to sell out, and do other things, which I think a lot of people do. They start off something, like God has said, they'll start this off, do this way. They start off that way and then be like, you know what, this ain't working. Let me go the opposite way. Not understanding that you just like messed up the whole vision that God had. Like God just had it planned out for you perfect. When you think about Adam in the garden, God made it where the garden replenished itself. Everything was there. He ain't had to worry about nothing. And sometimes God gives us the vision, for us to go and do something. And he's like, listen, bruh, I got you. I'm with you. But then guess what? We see other things, or we see like, oh man, like Ruth Ann right here, she's making millions doing the same thing I'm doing. Let me try and go her route. Let me try to do it that way. And we get tempted by what we see around us and not focusing on what God is telling us to do. And that's a true statement right there. We have to stay, in the realm of God and with God at all time. Think about Noah, bro. When Noah was building the ark, he had to stay on the one accord, like one direction, everything with him and God had to be on point. So this man is building something that was never seen before.
No.
That he didn't have no schematics. He had nothing. He just had to listen to God's voice. He could have got tempted and be like, man, God, I ain't building nothing. Guess what? I'm going to chill. I'm going to lay in my bed today. But guess what? That man got up for years.
and built.
Until the flood actually came. So a lot of us want to get rich overnight, or we want to make something happen overnight. It takes time, man. What happened for John Doe is not going to happen for you. So don't get tempted and go John Doe away, because you just might lose everything. It might spoil everything for you. Do it the way God is telling you to do it, and He gives you that vision. He gives you that sight. So you can see. That's why, like, I can't do what Minister Amon do. I can't do what you do. I can't do what Sister Ruth do. But I can do what God is telling me to do.
Exactly.
But a lot of us, we try to do what we see other people do.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I saw a post today, and it's like, listen, a lot of people can't move forward because they're worrying about the past, and they're also looking at people in front of them. Like, no, focus on you.
It's like they want somebody to light the candle for them instead of them being the candle.
Exactly. So we have to just focus on ourselves and do what God is telling us to do. Right, Sister Runa?
Yeah, because like oftentimes we're made to be like an example. So us going through our situation, us showing that we can step out and do something, like not with any, like, not to say without guidance, but with just holding on to faith, knowing that we're trusting and believing that we can do it. It's like an incredible feat to many to see that we're just pushing forward no matter what we're going through. So I believe it's a really great thing.
PR. It's wonderful.
PR.
So yeah, that's it. It's just I'm throwing words. It's like I felt that way. It's crazy.
But why do you think it's PR?
It's just how she put it together.
Because I'm well spoken. I don't know.
Nah, that's not it.
What is it?
It just, I feel like the whole time we guys are having that conversation, she just like,
I'm listening.
how could I just say some words?
But you're just passing judgment.
I know, right?
But why? I don't get it.
It comes from my sister.
It's just a conversation.
We just say
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy though. It's like
It's crazy.
I ain't
So
never.
what's your thoughts on temptation?
My thoughts.
Like, have you ever been tempted with anything?
Yeah. Go ahead. It's like, we'd love to hear. Yeah.
What has tempted you?
Oh man, I got in trouble.
Since you've been baptized and all this good stuff, what has tempted you that you felt for?
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm just gonna use this old school thing. Like, back when I was in Jamaica, I always loved food, and it's like I have this bad habit even to this day to find if the pot cover is like dark and I can't see in it. I have to open up the pot cover and look inside to see what it is. Even though you can smell and you're able to tell what it is. Nah, that's not enough. So when I was younger, I wanted to see what was in my aunt's pot. That she was cooking, and then it's like I end up getting burnt. It's like that's a perfect example. It's like I was tempted. The pot cover was hot, and I didn't use nothing to pick it up.
You were just too
So it's
distracted.
like,
that's probably one of them whole Dutch pot. You know, the whole top is metal.
Yeah. So it's like she would pick it up with an actual like rag or
Right,
something, and
yeah.
but I didn't know.
Wow.
Well, even if I did know that, I wanted to know right now. So it's like that extra effort to go get a rag to.
Oh my
Nah.
goodness.
So it's like, yeah, I definitely got burned that day. So yeah.
So that's your temptation?
That
Just
was a simple
curiosity.
thing. That's just a simple thing, man.
What,
It's
just the
like,
curiosity, or
Curiosity. I mean,
that's
I want to
curiosity.
know something that tempted you where you actually like.
Oh, situation.
Oh, if you so there was this one time I was going to school in Jamaica, and it's
Back
like, nah, I ain't playing no music, man.
I'm just joking.
But it's like I saw some money on the ground. I was like, I picked it up, counted it. I was like, But I felt like something wasn't right. Like I shouldn't pick it up. I should leave it alone. Felt like putting it in my pocket, but I'm like, nah. I just put it back down and then just walked away. It's like that moment. Every time it haunts me every now and then when I was younger, because I'm like, yo, you know what? That was my blessing, and I just gave it away
how'd you give it away?
by not keeping it in my pocket.
I mean, but what did you do? Just did somebody lose some money? How did you give it away?
I put it back.
Okay,
And
so
then it's like when I went back, somebody else picked it up.
you just put it back in the location that you found it in.
Yeah.
And okay,
I was tempted to put it on, just keep it, and then use it. Because, I mean, it was a decent amount of cash. I was like, ooh. But it was so much that it didn't seem like a kid would have dropped it. Like maybe somebody in the kitchen or someone, because I went to Bushers Primary. Yeah, so I was, it was by the kitchen area where it dropped. So I'm like, oh, somebody might there. But but the thing is, the reason why I knew it was, I didn't go about it the right way because I knew what I should have done. I should have brought it to them and said, did somebody drop it? Because it was so much that it wouldn't have been a child's money.
do you feel that when you found the money, that attachment of the money,
I wanted to keep it.
correct? So that attachment still stayed with you. So do you feel that for the simple fact that you put it down and someone else took it and there wasn't any proper closure for you, that it still affected you?
It bothered me for a few days, yeah.
For the simple fact that you had attachment to the money.
Yeah, because I could have kept it.
But at the same time, you would have felt better by keeping the money?
I don't know. I dropped it.
Well, you didn't feel better by putting it back.
I didn't feel, to be honest, I didn't feel as if I needed to give it to anybody. I just thought it was my blessing, and then I left it for somebody else. That's it.
Okay, since you've been baptized, anything tempted you?
You know what? I'm gonna use an example like Matthew. Not a simple example. Well, I was driving, and I just pulled
This
up.
is recent.
No.
You didn't start driving, but yeah.
It's money again. It's nothing too serious. But I found like a $5 bill on the ground, and I was like, oh, I just picked it up, put it in my pocket, and I walked into church, and I told my dad about it. He was like, how was it placed? I was like, I don't know. It just looked very straight, very, honestly, I thought about it. I was like, it really looked like someone placed it there. It didn't look like it just fell out. Because it was like a crisp $5 bill. Like it just came from the bank. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I really didn't need this $5. I didn't need to pick it up. It wasn't necessary. I didn't need it at all. And my dad was like, it's a trap. And I was like, what? He's like, it's a trap. I don't think you should have picked that up, Ruth Ann. I was like, oh, God. He's like, don't spend it. Don't do nothing with it. And I was like, I don't know how to get rid of it. So, okay. So I just kind of kept it around me. And it just kept bothering me. I was like, oh, God. Why was I so tempted to pick up this $5? I just got my paycheck. I didn't need it. I didn't need this money. It was so unnecessary for me to pick it up. I don't know why I just felt the need to pick it up. Because, it was there. And it was $5. Why not?
Well, why would it bother you that you picked it up?
Yeah.
My dad said that.
It's a trap.
So
I was so bothered. And then literally, because I've been keeping my eye on this dollar for days. I keep it in one place. I look one day, it's gone. I'm like, what? Where did it disappear to? Like, what happened to this dollar?
Did you find any $5 on the floor, brother Matt?
In the house now.
No, I literally asked, I was like, they're like, no, we didn't, and I'm just like, okay, then where did it go?
Danielle.
Y'all, no.
Brother.
Like,
Danielle
it
probably, I
just,
need some gas money. They go find all
that's not funny, no. But, like, it literally just left, and I was like, oh, God. Wow, that really was something, huh? Yep. For sure.
Minister Mon, anything tempted you since you've been saved?
Man, a lot, man. I get tempted all the time, man. I get tempted with, telling people what I feel like I want to tell them compared to what really I need to tell them.
Yeah.
I get placed in a place where like flesh tempts me all the time. A lot of times, daily. And it gets to the point where, like I just get to the point where I be like, man, hey, I could either fall to the temptation and then, like Ruth Ann says, start all over again. And sometimes I've chosen that. Sometimes I've chose to fall for the temptation, to touch it, get it over with, and then start all over again. But I started realizing, man, that it's not worth it, man, to keep starting over again all the time. So, but at the same time, the temptation be so fierce sometimes that you'll choose to start over month after month after month after month. But as of now, man, I'm really trying to just keep it going, like after months. You know what I'm saying? Into 30 days, into 60 days, into 90 days, into 120. I'm really trying to buckle down on that now. And you're always gonna get tempted, man. We're always gonna get tempted. If the 30-day temptation, if you could get past to the 60-day, there's going to be that same temptation plus more.
Exactly.
That comes in the 60 days. And it's going to increase even in the 90. So, it's just something that you have to try and sometimes, you tie off something and put it behind your back. Like it says, like if your right hand offends you,
yeah, cut it off.
Sometimes you don't cut it off. Sometimes just tie it up and put it behind you. Because sometimes you're going to pull it out. If you're strong enough to cut it off and do without it, you get what I'm saying? Then that only certain people are. Only certain people could really like fast on something, pray on something, and really put it behind them. But if you don't have that willpower to put things behind you like that, tie it up as best as you can and try and refrain from it for as long as you can. And then build off of it. You know what I'm saying? If you put 30 days up under your belt, put 60 days up under your belt. And like you say, go back to the beginning. Go back to when you only could do 30 days. Go back to when you could only do 7 days. And you're like, I remember when I only could do 7. Now I could do 30. And use that as, a stone of remembrance to show you how far you can come from. And even though you've come that far, you can still continue to keep going. Because there's always more for us. There's always deeper for us. There's always, broader horizons that we can enter into. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a fight. It's going to take, like it says, like to strive to get in. A lot of times, bro, we're saying that we're striving, but we're really not striving. We're saying we want to go, we want to do this, we want to do that, but we're really not striving. Because if you were striving, there's a difference between striving and wanting to do something.
Just do it.
Correct.
Different mentality.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm with him on that one.
It's crazy.
It's been awesome. It's been real. It's been just a conversation, man.
Hey, man.
Brother Matthew, final thought.
Final thought. Temptation is a beautiful test. Because it's like, it's huh? Well, all right. I don't like how you coming at me right now. But it's like I was saying, temptation is a beautiful test. It's like it's there. It's sweet. It sounds good. It feels good. But the consequences, are you willing to bear them? And because regardless of how sweet it is, just like how a rose is how the poetry go again? Well, the thing is, even though a rose is beautiful, it still has its thorns. And in order to get that rose, sometimes you have to go through the thorns. And it's like, that's how temptation is to me. It's like, yes, it's beautiful, yes, it sounds good, but do you want to go through all that headache in order to gain nothing? Because at the end of the day, nothing in this world is infinite. Everything is finite. So there's a just like how a flower dies after a week. That's how I feel like temptation is. It's something quick, something satisfied for a moment, but at the end of it, it's not long lasting. So are you? When you walk in with God, it makes regardless of how rough the situation is, it's there and it will last, and it will keep through all forms of headache, all forms of temptation. That's my final words.
What's that?
Well, I feel like with temptation, everyone is tempted. It doesn't matter who you are, you're always tempted by something to just bring you to a place where you just don't know what you're doing. And oftentimes, a temptation is something that is never for the benefit. Like, it's always something that's going to either bring you down, cause you harm, or it's just for a moment of pleasure. Um, Going to school, I deal with like short term and long term girls that like constantly throwing that at us. Like, what are you doing right now that's gonna affect you later on? And a lot of times with temptations, it's like a quick short term goal. But like, how is it gonna affect you in the long run? Are you looking at the bigger picture? Are you seeing what it's gonna cause you? What it's gonna cost you to lose like later down on the line? So I feel like you really just gotta like focus and see what do you have to lose by committing to this temptation now.
Yeah. It's a good one. What's someone?
I believe that kind of I'm taking from both of you guys' opinions. Temptation is beautiful and it is necessary. And scripturally in Matthew 4, when Jesus got tempted by the enemy, he rose up and he showed the enemy that there was none of his comfort or desire in him to be tempted, to fall for the temptation. And he combated the temptation 3 times with not only the word of God, but the spirit of God. He not only showed mastery that he knew the word and he understood the word, but then he also used the action of executing with the word against the enemy that was trying to tempt him with the lust, the desire, and the word himself. He actually used the mastery towards him to find a way of escape. And there's always a way of escape through any temptation that comes at us. It's not for us to be entangled. It's not for us to be trapped. It's so that we can use the word masterfully, and we could use the spirit of God to overcome the temptation and to even prove the glory that God has placed upon us, prove the mercy that God has placed upon us by even dispensing us a level of faith and a level of spiritual giftings. This is the reason why the Messiah, this is why Jesus Christ came and died, for us to rise above temptation, whether it be, in any lust or desire in our flesh and in our body or in our minds, or whether, the devil comes and he tries to find something in us. We're supposed to return it to him and say, look, we don't have any of this in us. Here, take it back. And he would, and it says, we would resist him
And he'll flee.
and he will flee.
That's right.
That's my final thoughts.
We don't resist him. We welcome him. Yep. Man, temptation to me, it's like a kid. Hey, man, that iron is hot.
Yeah.
That iron is hot, boy.
It is.
Don't touch it.
Very hot.
That iron is hot. But they say a hard head make a soft behind.
Oh, yeah. Look.
We all know what temptation do for us. We all know what temptation do to us.
We're learning.
We all know what will happen when we're tempted to do something and go after it and do it. There's a repercussion to everything that's done in life. So, we know right, we know wrong, we know left, we know right, we know up, we know down. Basic elementary stuff we're taught. But we still always want to do stuff because we're tempted for it. We're tempted to touch. There's a Jamaican song that says, "Hey girl, each time you pass my way, I'm tempted to touch." Guess what? After a while, he's gonna touch, and it's gonna be something that's gonna happen. Is she gonna slap him?
Oh yeah.
Or if she's with somebody, they're gonna do something to him. So
Or if she bought it.
we are. I'm
bought
just
it.
saying.
Yeah.
That's always gonna be something that's gonna happen. So, when you're tempted to do something, when you're tempted to go after something, question yourself why. Why do I need to go after that? Why am I being tempted for that? We get tempted every day. I get tempted every day. Sometimes I want to lash out. Sometimes I just want to say, yo, what's, you know what I mean? But I have to understand who I am and who I belong to. And understand that's nothing but the enemy trying to find that thing inside of me and trying to bring it back out of me. And it's going to defile me. Because if I go after it and if I do it, if I react to it, it's going to defile me. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else shall do what? And also, like we Mr. Alman said, resist the enemy and he shall flee. So I'm going to take it upon myself and continue to resist him. Yes, sometimes I want to say things, but guess what? I'd rather bite my tongue until it bleeds than to open my mouth and say something, and then it comes back and defile me and defile my character as a believer of Christ. So a lot of us are tempted. We're being tempted every day, but it's us to resist the temptation and just keep strong, keep holding on to the will of God. He will never leave us nor forsake us, and he'll never lead us in the wrong direction. So be faithful. Keep holding up the bloodstained banner. Keep pushing forward. Don't let nothing knock you off your track, and stay focused on Christ. It's been awesome. It's been real.
Hey,
It's real out here.
it's blessed out here.
Blessed out here. And it's crazy out here.
Exactly.
We all see what's going on there, so guess what? You could be tempted to go out there and party and do what you want to do, but when you come back with that disease, there was nobody to blame but yourself. That's what temptation does. Amen. Y'all, they say people out here throwing COVID parties, you won't see me at none.
Hey,
You won't see me at a
Mask up.
hurricane party
Glove
either.
up.
Man, it's
Mask
real,
up ain't
man.
gonna save you.
mask up, glove up.
Mask up, that ain't gonna save you. Because the way how this thing is spreading down here,
Yeah, it's crazy. They say it can go through the eyes.
oh no, you know what? Man, don't forget to hop over to our YouTube page. It's a conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. But it's been awesome. It's been real. It's just a conversation where we say hashtag
Talk about it.